And now we will have a presentation, a case study and market intelligence by Ms. Arlene Alfaro from the National Production Council. After that, we have a webinar presentation on the PACA law by the USDA. Before that broadcast, we will have 10 minutes for Dr. Palmer to give you a brief introduction on the PACA law so that you will better understand the webinar. Arlene? Good morning. As you heard yesterday, you heard the executive director of the National Production Council, right?
Sí. Bueno, ya, no me desconcentre que se me va a olvidar lo que tengo que decir.
As you heard from the executive director of the National Production Council, the CNP, is part of the agricultural service sector, which comprises 5 institutions, and the National Production Council is in the process of streamlining and focusing on services for agri-food production or marketing, aimed at achieving greater competitiveness and rural development. The Ministry of Agriculture provides assistance in the area of primary production and basic organization for producers. And then comes the CNP with marketing services, which includes a capacity building in various strategic areas to build capacity among producers, strengthen them as enterprises so that they can compete nationally and internationally. These are strategic areas where we carry some activities: agribusiness development, organizational, administrative, financial, legal, and strategic planning, business management and market development, information and market intelligence system, and quality management and food safety. As for the market information system, our objective is to generate and disseminate information about the behavior of agricultural markets in order to assist decision making by the agents that take part in the production, commercialization, consumption, agri-chain, as well as by government agencies to bring about improvements in producers' competitiveness and efficiency. The information systems that we manage are fruits and vegetables, basic grains, roots and tubers. We separated this from the vegetable area because of its importance to us, and also meat, dairy, and fish and aquaculture products. These are our informational products. And price and market information, we collect prices at the farm level, the producer. We have access to wholesale price information, which is provided by our colleagues from the agricultural marketing program, and also retail prices. We have farmers markets where consumers buy directly from producers. These farmers markets are in the main cities and regions in the country, and we monitor 25 of those markets, and there we collect price information And we also have international prices. We estimate seasonality indexes, and we manage different price levels. We also monitor the national and international markets. We have alert systems and take a look at opportunities and threats for our country and the influence of natural disasters. The measures adopted by countries that may influence the conditions in our country, and also exploration of markets. We look at price trends, supply and demand, competition, and also the linking of the supply and demand. We will take a further look at this later on. We take a look at the conditions of beans and maize, and we have surveys every 4 months with together with our colleagues from the Ministry of Agriculture who collect information in the field. We also have a special program for institutional provision. We take food to the jail system, to government schools, to public schools. And it is important for us to identify providers and what they offer. This is a part of the basic information we collect, and take a look at business opportunities for producers who are part of the training. We follow processes for data collection and processing. We generate reports for dissemination, and these are used for macro analysis. As Dr. Espina was saying before, market analysts are actually users of what is generated during this stage. So information is generated in different types of forms. It could be a report that is sent directly to users, or other types of information depending on analysts. This is how we are organized. In data collection and processing, we have 4 specialists who collect price information at the farm markets level, at auctions, slaughterhouses, and the information that comes from the different regions. For example, the 25 farmers markets that we monitor is collected by 6 professionals. They do not depend. They're not responsible to us, but they provide that information to us. In the area of dissemination, we have 1 librarian and 2 IT people. You've heard this before. Groups of analysts specialize in different groups of products. We have some analysts who specialize in vegetables, others in fruits, others for meat and dairy products. So analysts become specialists in a certain area or a group of products, and they keep in contact with different departments from public and private sector institutions. And we have 1 librarian and 2 people that deal with information technology who are responsible for the web. We also have an computation department. But I understand that we need to have experts in this area, because informatics usually deals with the administrative side of the institution, human resources, payroll, and they're not given the priority that they deserve. Sources of information. At a national level, the producers give us the data, process plants, storage areas, wholesalers, other participants in the sectors. Import data is recorded week by week by the state plant export agency, also for potatoes, onion, maize, which are important products that we export. So we receive all of that information from the actual Ministry of Agriculture. Exports, well, we deal with the central bank for the information. We also have different partnerships to acquire the information more easily. The international market is, we find out about the international market through the promoter of trade. It's a Costa Rican international trade promoter. It's a government agency. Dissemination is done through email, through web, or various producer organizations. The Center for Documentation and Information, which deals personally with the end user. We also receive phone calls from the for end users who wish to know prices. We also deal with directly with organizations such as producer organizations, pineapple organization. For example, if there's something about pineapple, if there's information about pineapple market that we want to disseminate, we directly go to the pineapple agency or the pineapple organization, the farm organization, and we disclose the information to them. We have 1 month of having established a program for 12 products. The person dials 2476, and after they say yuca, the system will tell them the prices for yuca, for example, the wholesaler price and the farmer's market price, which is the consumer reference price, cassava. This is important information for the producers to know when they're going to sell their products at the farmer's market during the weekend. Then we wait about a month. Rolando and I are always running to form an agreement with the telephone service to be able to implement it as part of a dissemination program for 41 products. We also have national programs, which are another good way of disseminating information. The Ministry of Agriculture has various programs with program heads. For example, the bean head is in charge of oversight of the entire agro chain, so he deals with commissions, deals with industrial producers, the traders, the different stakeholders of the chain, and the market analysts also are part of these commissions. And this is an important alliance because here we're trading information, exchanging information for making decisions for a specific sector, and it's also a way, another channel for disseminating information at the same time. Our types of users include regional agricultural centers, producer organizations, chamber of commerces or different chambers, exporters, traders, public sector, academic sector, and the private sector, as well as the state banking system. These are examples of the different publications that are available on the web. For basic grains, we are always covered by the media with regards to basic grains. We have monitoring and alert mechanisms for cassava, for avocado. We have bulletins on our website for each product, at least for the most important products. Sometimes there are products that are more discretional that we have to keep in order to establish prices, and we don't necessarily put that on the web. How do we define the products that we work with analytically? If you enter to the sensitive products on the website, these are the basic products for food security. These are in the hands of smaller producers, and this deals, here we're dealing with beans, white corn, potatoes, onions, and rice. But rice has another entity, which is the Rice Corporation, which does what we do with beans and corn and potatoes, but the Rice organization handles only rice. We'll deal with that commodity specifically. We also have strategic products, which are important for us as export opportunities, cassava, plantain, mango, pineapple, and others. So we have 16 products that we constantly analyze. Another variable that helps us decide if we should specifically analyze a product is if it's a product if it's a product that is of importance. For example, if it's a strawberry producer organization that asks us for specific information, we have to analyze the crop, and then so we analyze who we have to provide information for, and we will analyze the product based on a request basis. And that's how we decide also to analyze products in general. What is the demand for information about a specific product? Because we can't analyze everything. Also, we have the obligation of generating programs for the Ministry of Agriculture's fruit and vegetable programs. Let's analyze sensitive product, which is beans. It's one of our more complicated products. There's a national law that's been in existence since 2008. It's the law for requirement. What is it? It's a law. It's a bean law that states that those producers that purchase the national harvest or national crop will not be taxed. So this is centralized at the, it has a 1% tax. So the law states that it's responsibility of the market information system to register all of the producers, the different harvest periods, register the industries who are going to process the vegetables or the products, and the purchase of these products. So the different regions verify this information, and the regional colleague verifies that the purchase was actually made, that the producer exists, because sometimes we have ghost producers or phantom producers. So this verification process is done regionally. When the information has been verified, it's sent to the SIN, and then after we prepare alert reports as to the tendency of the production for beans. What is the purchase trend? And during harvest time, since we're closing right now, it's a lot of work. We have to inform week by week on the existence of the different amount of the products that are left in the hands of the producers. We meet with the Vice Minister of Agriculture and the different producers and the industry leaders. So they state, okay, you still have to purchase such and such amount out of the quota. You take a percentage to purchase, and so its purchase is regulated. So that way we are able to pressure individuals to purchase the entire harvest. So this is based on analysis of information, and I'm in charge of that negotiation process. And we have production estimates for beans based on the registry, on the producer registry. When the planting season starts, we take a sample and we verify the advancement of that crop. The regional representatives of our organization will prepare reports with yields, with harvest flows, with areas, conservation of areas, so that way we know what is the output of production for the different producer areas. Here, for example, we can see the output of the production in the Guanacaste area, in the northern area of Costa Rica, and the Brunca area, and it's distributed here by color. Here we can see the different two types of beans that we consume, black and red, and a difference is that we consume black beans. It's 70% is black beans. We prefer black beans here, and 30% is red. Oh, I forgot a table here. Well, let's see it on the English side. This is a table for supply, which I spoke about, which Dr. Spino spoke about. We prepare inventories every 2 months. With our agricultural quality people, we prepare inventories at the warehouses of these industries, sector, and the different warehouses, because everything's commerced in a packed way. We don't trade or we don't sell beans that are loose. We always package them. We make an import estimate. This is a projection for May to June of next year, with the consumption estimate, and then we see the balance. So now, while we are doing the analysis to see the supply level up to July next year, the country needs 15,000 tons of beans. This approximate amount, or if we consider our food reserve, it could be 25,000 tons, would be the amount with which we're going to state the lack of supply and the preferential import aspect of the beans, or the beans that are going to be imported with the preferential tax. So that's how we determine that. So this quota is distributed by percentile participation.
El nivel de información que se maneja.
This is, we're going to speak about here about our supply and demand for the product. As I mentioned, the Plant Health Protection Service gives us information about exports every week, so we can monitor how much is entering of beans by color, red or black, from the different countries. Last year, the main provider of red beans was Nicaragua, due to the policies taken by the Nicaraguan government. They closed borders, and then beans were entering from Honduras and China. Although beans and maize are a product which we spend a lot of time on and budget on, it's only 25% of the national consumption of what the country only produces 25% of the country's national consumption. And with regards to black bean, in 2010, the main supplier is China. And this is part of the problem that we face nowadays, because the price of the Chinese product is very inexpensive. And so we can see that the price for red beans, this is the import price from China, even with the 30% tax that we have on beans. And blue is the price for the producer, for the beans produced in Costa Rica. So you could see what are our seasonal periods for producing beans, January to May and August to September of each year. The producer prices are higher than the beans that we import, even if we tax China. So when we have this situation, the government has to take measures such as the law I mentioned to pressure the industry to buy from national producers instead of imported beans. So this is where we have price comparisons, and let's analyze the different margins. The gross trade rate, and this is what we use to establish our prices. Here's an example: pineapple.
Este tipo de estudio se hace frijol, maíz, muy parecido.
We do the same with corn as we do for beans. It's not the same for there's a different one for potatoes and pineapple, or for onions and pineapple. For onions and potatoes. Let's analyze now the different price indexes for pineapple from the wholesaler side, and we compare prices here from the different markets. We can see the difference, or the margins, among our wholesale prices and our retail prices. We also can see the gross margins for trade for it. And here we can see that the difference between the prices at the farms and at the farmers markets. If the producer goes directly to the farmers market, he obtains 100% of the price that the consumer buys. But if the producer stays at his farm waiting for the consumers or the intermediaries to buy their product, who sometimes sell at this farmers market, the farmer will only receive 50% of that. So this type of information is gathered, and we like to make the farmers aware that they should take their products to the farmers market to make a better yield, or to make a better profit. So this is what we try to do: raise awareness among our farmers. And we try to tell them that it's worth the effort of going from the farm to the farmers market in the city, because if not, the intermediaries will overtake their sales, and farmers will make less. Here we have an example of exports in Costa Rica. Our main market from 2008 to 2010 was the United States. And for organic pineapple, that's also the case: United States, and second, Belgium. Our competitors for pineapple: Costa Rica is above the United States, Mexico, and Ecuador. And in Europe, in addition to Costa Rica, the Ivory Coast, Ecuador, and Panama. This is, here we can see the competition. We see the different prices and compare them with other countries. This is all useful information to see windows of opportunity and make analyses for all types of fruit that we export. At a point in time, this was very useful for mango. We were able to figure out when Costa Rica should enter with mango because of this type of analysis. So we use that window of opportunity. But pineapple is an easy product for us because we are the leading exporters for that product. I'm sorry that I spoke so fast. My presentation has finished. Thank you so much for your attention.
Bueno, muchas gracias, Arlene, por tu presentación.
Thank you for your presentation, Arlene. If anyone has any questions, do not hesitate to ask them at this point in time. You can raise your identification card.
Yeah, let me apologize. I'm not a student of international trade affairs, hence the question I'm going to ask. I note as part of your presentation that you indicated that there's a tax concession for purchases of the local beans. Is this against, or does this contravene the rules as laid out by the World Trade Organization?
There are taxes that are set for protecting certain national products as part of the WTO ingredients, and it says that, but it is a national law, and they are empowered to lower the tariff when they consider it necessary when lack of supply of the product occurs. This situation occurred from the fact that we saw that there wouldn't be enough of the product. So with the decree, the tax would go down, and we wouldn't allow the industrial sector to benefit from this. With this law, when we lower the tariff, we're able to manage and give the industrial sector the option to purchase we kind of force them to purchase national beans. So this is to help the farmers to guarantee that their products are purchased, and for the industry sector to have a greater incentive, because they're going to pay more for a national product over the imported product. So sometimes with beans, black beans, it's 30% and red is 70% now. For potato, it's 46%. Depends on the consumption level. Some products do not have any taxes, and especially with countries where we don't have free trade agreements. So tariffs apply to Chinese products, but we just signed a free trade agreement with China, so that's going to be enter-free, tax-free. Beans were also coming from Argentina and Bolivia, from Colombia also. So those countries where we don't have a free trade agreement and that paid this tax, they would receive this benefit.
¿Pregunta? Señor Stuart.
It's always interesting that the government always tries to protect its national producers. However, I would like to know a bit more about this law, this preferential treatment law. It's what has been done to protect national farmers. If you could speak more about the actual law. And currently, if this preferential treatment is actually helping producers to maybe minimize the purchase of imported beans. Is it a contradiction of the World Trade Agreement? See, imports aren't limited. Imports are still open throughout the entire year, and they pay taxes every year, as the WTO states. But during the months where we have this preferential treatment, the tax goes down. So if we say there are 15,000 tons of lack of supply from July 2011 to December, 15,000 tons will enter tax-free for these companies. If you're a producer if you're someone who didn't purchase the crop and you're not registered, but you want to negotiate with beans and you want to import it from China, you can. We don't limit you, but you have to pay the tax. Because the benefit is only for those who purchased the entire harvest. So you don't compete with anyone. Because the entry of products is free, you can import whenever you want, but just paying the tax. But if you go and buy something from farmers and you're registered, okay, thank you, because you purchased, since you purchased from a national producer, we will lower the tax when the lack of supply is. So this is a suggestion for producers. It's kind of like an incentive for producers, and then, or I guess all countries do this to help their national farmers. Like saying, oh, there's too much of beans in the market, so let's import more. So it's not so much a law, but it's a suggestion, I guess. It's a way to help them. Is that it? To help them. Is that the case?
Que a final de cuentas es potestad del gobierno. Sí.
The business sector states if there is a shortage of supply or not. Because during 2008, the taxes didn't go down. And products came in to the country, paying the entire tax during the entire year. The industrialists are interested in lowering the tax because that way they will not have to pay a 30% tax. They'll save 30%, and that will offset the excessive price that they paid for the national product, which is more than the imported price. How has this helped producers? For this crop, with regards to beans, only 1.6% of the entire production is still in the warehouse of the producers. The rest was sold. But this is because we don't know if it's Nicaraguan beans or Costa Rican beans, because although the boundaries closed, there's like this no man's land where beans go and come. But see, we're divided. So whatever's on Nicaragua's side to us is traded here in Costa Rica. So we have pressure here because this law supposedly is for producers, is for people to purchase the national product, not the neighbor's product. So that's part of the issue. And here we're dealing with 4,300 quintals that haven't been purchased because they're being disputed. But that's only 1.6 of the entire production, which will probably not be purchased. And there's problems with regards to quality. But the this has been beneficial for the producer because he's been able to sell his crop at a good price, and that's the objective. That production costs are very high, and the national producer lives well. He or she has a good standard of living. They have a good quality of life. They have Costa Rica has a great social security system, free education, pretty much free medical treatment, and that's reflected in our higher production costs. I wanted to ask if you could comment more about the case of beans in Costa Rica. So you mentioned sensitive prices. Are they part of the free trade market, or do they cause problems for? How do you pressure the information system? Well, let me just explain one case. We have something similar in Chile. Is that we have a public or private sector, and when we deal with the public sector, there's been misinformation. Since I work with information systems, I know that I have to gather more information on the sectors that we consider sensitive and generate new products. So can you tell us about how you deal with sensitive products and how you modify and pressure information systems when you deal with sensitive products? Well, with this new law, the change has been large because although before we always had calculation cost for production, we had balance tables, so we had information always available, but it was a bit more, it wasn't less as rigorous. We prepared bulletins, the supply tables, well, they're not published by me. They're only for use by higher authorities. But the report was elaborated. We spoke with the people on top, the ministers, and basic information was analyzed and then revealed. Our job was very relaxed. When with this new law, we are pressured now because we're dealing with money. There's money involved here. Someone's going to make more money. So we have senators that are questioning why the tax went down for corn, why the amount that was declared is different. So they question everything, and we have a lot of pressure here. So the Consumer Department of Costa Rica is saying that the consumers are affected, that they're paying too much. So this is in the papers. It becomes a upheaval. So our responsibility has increased in significantly with regards to the information we have to produce. We have to establish, I'd love to have a system like Blanca's with everything listed in a website. That's great. We have a very clear table where we mention how we verify the products, when the industrialist goes and signs what he purchases. We have step-by-step monitoring of everything that happens. We met the other day with regional directors because every time a harvest ends, we learn new things to improve. And what we have to work on most is recording the producers, the true registry, due to this problem with the northern area of the country where there's that no man's land that I mentioned. So in the southern area of the country, people were purchasing products from Nicaragua. So everything's, and they thought it was products that they were from Costa Rica. So we need to train our technical specialists at a regional level as to how to verify the product and record data. We also have to formalize procedures and apply methodologies and verify data and generate reports. As I mentioned, week by week, we present monitoring reports of how the harvest is doing and prepare alerts, market alerts, and international reports. So we have much work, and we deal with pressure from all sectors.
Santos. Thank you. Apagó el micrófono. You showed a supply and demand table for beans.
In the stocks area, you mentioned some monthly estimations. Do you carry out some census or surveys? To whom do you survey? Producers, wholesalers? How do you prepare that stock? Remember that Costa Rica is a small country, so some things are easier for us to do. At the regional level, our colleagues will collect inventories that are in the hands of our producer associations on a weekly basis, and they send that to us. Every 2 months, we send 2 officers from the SIN with 2 colleagues from the Agricultural Quality Division, and they do a physical inventory on site. From the people who buy and package the bean. At the regional level, they also collect or do an inventory on the main wholesale areas. And that is what we use to have an estimate on the stock. But it's quite precise because we work with a small number of people. And the main plants are all around the metropolitan area, so it's very easy to collect information from those areas. Alfredo? I have some questions for you, Arlene. But I think that tariff barriers and para-tariff barriers, phytosanitary barriers are present in most of our countries. Sometimes they're a bit more hidden, but it's part of the trade rules that we use nowadays. And not only for sensitive products, but also producers or the sensitive production for different reasons, for food security and so on and so forth, but mainly for political reasons. I think this is a reality that most of our countries deal with nowadays. In this case, I agree with you because we had the same situation in our country. And I wanted to make some questions. These type of processes, due to these type of processes, is production concentrated on certain regions? Don't you create oligopolies? And then consumers are the biggest losers. Instead of having such large stocks, why don't you do it on a seasonal basis? Because you said that you only have 25% of the production. And instead of having that type of inventory or stocks, why don't you do it at the statistic level? Why don't you do some monitoring instead of carrying out those surveys? With regards to the distribution, the trade distribution, the law has some provisions on this regard. Last year we did the first one, and this year the second one. For the main businessmen that market the supply. Our main company now is Hortifruti or Walmart now, and they could buy the entire harvest. But the process clearly established what needs to be done if there is large concentration by a few businessmen or by a few companies. we feel that there is more of a problem on the producer side because, for example, in the Brunca region, we have 5, in Chorotega 2, and Northern Huetar region about 5 producer associations, and one of them is that gentleman that is buying in the border area under the pretext that it is producer association. He has become a businessman. He buys from several producers in that area who are not part of the producer association, and that is part of the problem we've had with the industry sector, because that gentleman, they don't want to buy from that gentleman because he is competing with them, because he has become a businessman rather than a producer. So we've had those type of problems, but we have some legal support with this law, because although we need to provide all the information when the decree is signed for the supply shortage, we do this with the participation of the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Economy, and the Ministry of Foreign Trade. And we have lawyers from the 3 ministries, and the way the law is implemented is determined in a joint meeting with the 3 ministries. With regards to the stocks, one is the stock that we prepare at the plant level to see what they have in reserved or in the warehouses, and a different thing is the production monitoring, which is what we call production estimations or production estimates. This is done based on the registry of producers, and we monitor the status of the harvest, and we have make estimates on to see what would be the output on a monthly basis. We work with the subs every 2 months. For example, with beans, even if there's no output, at that time there is less pressure, but we still need to do some monitoring on the status of the market, and we take a look at imports. We see the flow of imports, even though if there is enough supply in the market with national or imported products. Even if it's imported product, we need to have to collect information on the stock, because producers need that information. So we always need to update those tables at least on a bi-monthly basis, even if it's not harvest time. And during harvest time, we do it every 2 weeks.
Stephen.
Hola, ahí estamos.
Victor? Arlene, I understand that you do not influence price. You just work with the tariffs. Have you thought about having a different mechanism to use instead, because you've signed a free trade agreement with your main supplier? The policy for sustaining or supporting producers doesn't have a legal basis. No, because the people from comics, the foreign trade, which are the ones who prepared the treaty that was signed with China, they are part of this committee. So they tied the application of the China part to participation in the national purchases. So if we have a product from China, 10,000 tons coming from China, these 10 tons would be distributed proportionally to your participation of at the national level. So we follow the same verification process, because I have to give that information to comics regarding the participation of the industry at the national level. And based on that, those 10,000 tons are distributed. What happens with the decree for supply shortage? If that statement will be for 15,000 tons, and we have 10,000 tons coming from China, then we do it for the remaining 5,000 tons. So we use the 10,000 tons from China with this for this distribution, and then we have 5,000 tons, and these may come from any other country. They may come from China, Argentina, or from another provider. Stephen?
I just wanted to find out where a copy of it might be available. Is it available on the internet? What's the reference of it, the reference of this law? It's important to probably see that law to read it. I think the other countries should be interested in it.
Yes, if you leave me your email, I can send that information to you. I have that in electronic format. I have it in my computer in the hotel, so you can give me your USB in this afternoon. I will make a copy of that. Charlie? Yeah, Miss Arlene. What is the share of imports and for the government income? What part of the government income is represented by those imports? Because the way I see it, your work of supporting producers is very difficult. I don't have the information of the economic figures, but for beans, it's 75% of the consumption, which is covered by imports. And the same is for corn. For rice, it's about 40% of the consumption, which is covered by imported products. But I'm not sure what the figures are. I could probably get them. I have a question that's directed at the management side. You mentioned that starting in 2008, this law was implemented, and obviously this has led to various efforts on the part of your staff to generate new products and gather more information. I think that your answer will serve as an example of what Costa Rica has done in developing these sorts of analyses and how you've implemented it so that 3 years later you are at a higher level. I'm thinking about other countries which, not because of the law, but due to demand of the private sector, might have to also generate these types of products. What needs are there? What strategies? I want you to serve as an example for other countries. What have you learned during this process? Empirically, has it been empirical learning, or have you formally trained analysts? How did you prepare for this as a country? Well, what helped things was that the system was already in place. We have approximately 15 years of working with market analyses or market research, so we already had a researcher for basic grains. The analyst was already working in that. We were able to estimate prices for other products, so there was a sort of a structure that was pre-established. What complicated things was the field work, collecting information out in the field, which required regional support. So we were pressured by the ministries to execute this field work. During the first few years, 2008, 2009, we had resources from the National Food Plan, which helped us fund methodologies to register producers, and it was a bit more formally implemented, this methodology. It wasn't as structured as the way we used to gather data wasn't as structured as we implemented during 2008, 2009, but we took advantage of these resources to establish a mechanism. But we don't have this budget anymore, so we're facing, sometimes we're not getting the same amount of money, but the methodology is already in place. By next harvest, we want to see if the Ministry of Agriculture will help us gather information based on a set of standards with forms, etc. Something that was done quickly and was helped by the informatics department. We established a database for managing this type of information. Producer registry, product by product, and the purchases made by the industrial sector to that producer, and the system will automatically detect when a purchase is made by a specific industrialist, a company, or T. Fruta, or Juan Perez, and we can see what if we cross data with the farmer, what is registered for the producer is cross-referenced with what the industrialist purchased. We had an outdated system, and if the farmer is a ghost farmer producer, it's not reflected in the system. So we were able to update the system and cross-reference it. Regarding reports, we had to hire an analyst. We hired 3 analysts for preparing reports. One is an analyst, and the other one is a database specialist, and the other is a price specialist. I work in analysis, and we weren't able to work with only one analyst, obviously. We have 5 more minutes for another question. Well, this is very interesting, but I have a question, however. The information systems of the different countries, especially in El Salvador, our focus is to strengthen those systems with more information in order to make decisions at different levels with the different stakeholders in the value chain. When we speak about it, market intelligence, my specific question is, okay, I need more information so my producers can negotiate on the national market and the external market. We export many nostalgic products to the United States. An example, a sort of cabbage, and it's a product, we call it a nostalgic product, for 3 million Salvadoran immigrants in the United States. So we have to perform market intelligence in the different regions where there is the largest concentration of Salvadorian immigrants in the United States. In the rural areas of El Salvador, we need market intelligence from different sources to get information about area growth, what type of products are being demanded for by the market. So we need technology to gather this information, because there's also technological intelligence that's required to be competitive with different products. Although we have a place information system that's already set into place, today, for internal reasons, this is done by another division. So market intelligence is being done by another division without, but we do uphold the free trade agreements. However, my concern is, what is your market intelligence strategy to strengthen your information systems, mainly for the different levels of producers, small producers, medium, and a large scale? How do you deal with market intelligence for these three levels? The presentation by Dr. Espino was very important because it's a theoretical framework of what we were doing. I was able to identify with what he was speaking about. So market intelligence was also mentioned by him and what has to be done. When we deal with market intelligence regarding potato, onions, and grains, well, we don't have a law, but our method of work is the same. We have meetings with sector producer groups. We meet with them, and then they end up taking decisions. But that's where our market intelligence has to head. Let's forget about Costa Rica with the law that confused everyone. Let's pretend the law doesn't exist, the law I mentioned, the tax law. I think that the next step that we have to take with information systems is not limit ourselves to prices. We have to perform other types of analyses to give more aggregate value to the information that we gather. And as Dr. Ospina was mentioned, we have to define the type of analysis I'm going to do. Who is my end user? Since we are part of the Ministry of Agriculture, generally the user is the producer, and that's whom, the end user is not the audience. Our end user is the actual government, the authorities, the higher levels, because that's who has to establish regulations. But now, refocusing our efforts towards the end user and towards the audience that we're going to direct our information at, that will make us shift gears. And that will mold the type of research we perform and the sources of information that we use. Did I respond to your question, or did I confuse you more?
Por el tiempo que ya nos tenemos que...
Okay, let's stop for the webinar now. We are going to ask Lester to please write his question so we can answer it during the close of the day. And now let's ask Dr. Palmer to please make a brief introduction of the PACA law from the United States.
PACA is a sister branch, and at USDA we are really compartmentalized, meaning that we don't interact mostly with our sister branches or anything like that. We do have a lot of knowledge of it. However, what I'm going to say here might help you a little bit to understand for those who do not know what PACA means or what it does, and so on and so on. I'm sure I forgot the name of my fellow USDA employee who's going to give this. Oh, pretty soon they're going to be connected, so I'm going to be really quick. PACA is the Perishable Agricultural Commodities Act. That was the law that came into being in 1940s and something like that, but I think that's what they're saying right now online. And they're called the police of the agricultural industry in the U.S. They solve claims, agriculture is perishable. They're going to be in 5 minutes now, so that's pretty good. Okay, they're going to connect in about 5 minutes. So, anyway, they're called the police industry, and with the perishable commodities and products, there is a lot of problems that arise, claims the product that is bought and is not what you want, and so on and so on. So they become the police. They settle these claims. And one good thing about PACA is that everybody in the U.S. that buys agricultural products need to be registered. You need to be associated with PACA. They have to pay and have a trust fund. And if something happened to the business, or if they go down, they don't pay their bills or so, through this trust fund, they are the first ones that get reimbursed. You know, agricultural products, once you eat them, they become something that stinks. So you cannot recover anything like a car or something like that once you buy a car, and if you don't pay, they repossess the car, but not so with agricultural products anyway. So, as I said, they recover losses, they manage the country of origin law, which came lately in the 2000s, early that. There are the ag police, they mainly are there to protect producers. And one of the great things is they also protect international producers. And anybody around the world who sells to somebody in the U.S. are protected by this law and can use it as a producer to recover losses if they export it to the U.S. and were not paid. And this is the very important part of the law. That is why it's going to be presented here. That's one thing, and the other thing is a webinar is another electronic medium for us to communicate all over the world to large amounts of people. So with this, we probably should go to the presentation, which starting right now. And as I said, I'm not an expert, but I have heard them talk many times all over the place. And if you have any particular questions later, I'll be happy to answer what I know or find out the answer.
Un par de minutitos.
Yeah, Pat, we gave sorry, I took the word without asking. Pat, we gave a presentation here for Procomer here and in San Carlos a few years back. So he's a well-known guy in PACA, and he works in the Tucson, Arizona office.
Un minuto más.
Tenemos como 30 segundos. Redbook es un servicio que tiene como el Blue Book.
Redbook is a service like a blue book for all people involved in with fruits and vegetables. And if you're in the Red Book, you know if you are a good buyer or not. Good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Red Book University. Thank you for making an effort to be in with us in spite of your busy schedule. We're pleased to have you. My name is Olga Killmeyer, and I'm a specialist in customer service, and I represent Red Book Credit Services. Our presentation today will be an introduction to the PACA law. In Spanish, our Presenter will be Mr. Romero, the General Director of the PACA office in Tucson, Arizona. This conference will last approximately 1 hour, and at the end of the conference, you may ask questions over the chat. You can place your questions in the bottom part of your screen. Mr. Romero will answer your questions if time permits. When you make your question, please make sure that you direct it to all the participants so that we can all see your question, read your question. Due to time restrictions, if you do not have time to make your question, please contact our presenter, Mr. Patrick Romero. His information will be presented in the first and last slide of his presentation. This conference will be recorded and it will be sent via email around the world to all participants in the conference. We ask you to please wait a minute while we prepare the conference.
Esperamos un minuto.
One more minute, please. The sponsor of this conference is PNC, Product Market Guide, La Guía, and this is the destination for everything related to the agricultural sector. PMCA is the first web global community that serves the food and vegetable sector. It is a connection point and a broad directory for thousands of participants in the industry. It is supported by leaders in the food and vegetable sector, and also the Packer newspaper. You may visit PMC at the web portal www.producemarketguide.com. Weber Credit Services is a credit and marketing agency that serves the entire network in the food and vegetable service. RSS is a division within the headquarters, Danes Publishing Corporation, located in Lenexa, Kansas, United States. Redbook Credit Services provides an wide range of important tools aimed specifically at addressing trade of fruit and vegetables. These services include marketing, research of service providers, and transport services. I will go back to the web page now. The Perishable Agricultural Products Law, PACA. The PACA law was enacted upon a request of the industry to promote fair competition and fair trade. The PACA law protects those companies involved in the trade of fresh fruits and vegetables and frozen products through an established code.
Okay.
I was just going to say that you are the regional director of the PACA office in Tucson, Arizona. He has been working at the PACA office for the last 3 years, and over the past 5 years he's been the regional director. He's been involved in all types of administrative work done by PACA, and he has carried numerous research researches on the law, on the implementation on the law, and he's given many seminars for producers and packagers in the United States, Mexico, and Guatemala, and Costa Rica. He has a licenciatura degree on business administration and a master's degree on business administration, both from the New Mexico Highland University in Las Vegas, New Mexico. He's also attended numerous training programs sponsored by MAS, the Agricultural Marketing Services from the USDA. He also speaks Spanish. It is a pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Patrick Romero. Thank you, Olga. Thank you, and also the Red Book University and those participants in the conference. I'm not able to see your presentation right now. Yeah, I will do that in a minute. I just want to thank everybody for listening to the presentation on the PACA law, which was enacted back in the 1930s. We call it the PACA or the PHDA law. You will be able to see my contact information in the first slide. I'm not able to see it on the screen yet. We'll see. Yeah, on the upper left-hand side. Can you see me now? Okay, we'll start over. Thank you, Olga. Thank you to the Red Book University and to the participants that are dedicating their time to listen to this presentation on the PACA law, which was enacted back in the 1930s. You can see my telephone number in the first slide is and you can also see my email address, Patricio Romero. The Fruit and Vegetable Services, PACA is part of a larger set of fruit and vegetable services. It began as the foundation, fruit and vegetable program of the Agricultural Trade Services, AMS, supports buyers and sellers with their products. They have a different roles, including development of standards. For the United States, we have 312 standards that cover fruit and vegetables. We carry out inspections of fresh produce, and we try to improve communication between buyers and sellers. We try to collect data on the national market based on products, quantities, qualities, and status and conditions to improve the market conditions. Here you can take a look at the services. Buy fresh and we buy fruits and vegetables for at the national level. We also have some assistance programs. We buy produce for lunch schools, for the school lunch programs. We also help the industry to overcome barriers. And we also assist in the implementation of the PACA law to promote fair trade practices for buyers or traders of fruits and vegetables. What is PACA? As you have seen in the previous slides, we only work in a specific area, a small part of the fruit and vegetable area. The PACA or the PACA law, or the law on perishable agricultural products from 1930 was created to promote interstate and international trade. PACA promotes fair trade and prompt payment. The PACA law has been a very strong law and has been in force for over 80 years. PACA is not part of the Food and Drug Administration. Some people confuse it with the FDA. The FDA is part of the Health Department of the United States, which is a separate branch of the federal government. FDA is concerned with food security. PACA deals with contracts among the different parties involved in the industry of fruits and vegetables. What is PACA's history? Why was it necessary? The industry required it during the 1930s depression. It was needed for various reasons, one being the nature of supplies of products that needed refrigeration and were being sent through, were being shipped and were being lost. And the fact that exports were being sent to other countries. Second, the national scope and the consolidation of our sales, the need to protect these companies and our national business was an important factor. In addition, protecting our industry, that was the main reason for forming PACA. Some states, selling it is smelling it. The way that we handled business in the past is still present today. How does PACA work? This slide deals with the technical parts of the law. PACA benefits the fruit and vegetable industry by requiring each entity be licensed. PACA has a common language within the industry, especially when we interpret and explain negotiations. PACA establishes norms and standards of this industry. PACA creates an extensive cooperation process to resolve controversies informally and formally. It also is authorized to work as a compliance mechanism. Challenges faced by the food industry. Rejection, market shortage, and oversupply, maintenance of maintaining documents in an appropriate manner, failure in presenting adequate accounting, non-compliance with payment, or slow payments, going bankrupt, and people that act dishonestly in business, and people that will benefit, that will eschew the laws and benefit themselves. Other services include the fact that we've had we are trustworthy. We've been in existence for many years. We have the complaints line that people can call and deal with. They can report lack of payments, late payments, violations of the law, or rejections, unjust rejection, or use of terms that are in contracts that are not clearly understood. So this is all part of this complaints, of the complaints line. Here are the different PACA offices throughout the United States. The regional offices in Tucson, where I'm now, in Fort Worth, Texas, Manassas, Virginia. These 3 offices are responsible for resolving controversies and responding to questions to the regional states represented. Our regional licensing agency is located in Virginia. Through our good delivery line, our dispute resolution office is located in Washington, D.C. And our oversight mechanism is also established in Washington. As the map shows, we're responsible for the green area. That's where I am. The Texas office is responsible for the blue area, and the Manassas, Virginia office covers the eastern side of the United States. If you're in California, for example, and have a complaint, we present the complaint informally and forward it to the corresponding agency. So if you have a complaint in New York, obviously the Virginia office will cover that complaint. This is our website. If you would like any more information about the law, don't hesitate to go to our website. We have different sub-areas: education or continuous education, PACA, frequent questions about PACA, and we have our Red Book University. We have a conflict resolution area, how to present a complaint, how to obtain our services. If you the green arrow shows an informal complaint. You could also see if the business that you're in is licensed in the U.S. If you need, the red arrows are useful links that include specific topics. They show precedents or previous cases that can help you maybe deal with contract disputes. They can serve as precedents for you. We have a list of basic commodities, what's good FOB, and you can also interpret the maximum tolerances allowed for fruits and vegetables. This is a very practical tool that you can use, and you can use it at any time.
Buena entrega la línea de acceso directo.
This is a good delivery direct access line. This is our phone number. It's free in the United States, and regional offices in Arizona and Texas handle all complaints regarding fruits and vegetables and the industry. Our regional staff are PACA's eyes and ears. If you're in the United States, please contact us if you need any further information. It confirms, for example, if a distributor or a producer has a PACA license. You can also look that up on the internet. You can also make a claim, a complaint, or learn more information as to how to protect your confidentiality rights. This is free of charge. We have experts in the field and people that are bilingual in various languages, not only Spanish and English. You can call from Monday through Friday, 7 to 7 p.m., 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The PACA representatives will help you accept or reject products. They'll explain what fair and unfair rejected product is, and your responsibility after a product is rejected. It also explains how noncompliance works with guarantees and how to calculate damage of products. And acceptance, how to accept products. Who requires a PACA license? The law states that the following groups require licenses. So the wholesalers, retailers, the brokers, the farmers and farmer agents, processors, and the business owners or industrialists. So it costs $230 to belong to PACA to obtain this license. The country of origin or key regulation, which is managed by another agency that's not USDA. Who is exonerated from a PACA license? Businesses who sell their own products, who do not use intermediaries, truckers who transport the product only, they do not purchase the load. Sometimes the truckers purchase a load. If they purchase more than 2,000 pounds, they require a PACA license. These are mandatory licenses for industrialists or traders that purchase and sell, or business people that sell or purchase an average of 2,000 pounds or more a day. Retailers and brokers of frozen foods are exonerated up until they purchase their negotiated purchases reach $230,000 or more in a calendar year. They require a mandatory license. Many times, lack of access to markets in different countries, or not having enough capital to start a business, or lack of, it's hard to understand what he says, I'm sorry. It's terrible Spanish, I'm very sorry. Basically, if an average of 2,000 pounds is purchased per day, that is when a PACA license is required. A business that sells fruits and vegetables without a license is a very serious issue for PACA, especially in the fresh fruit and vegetables industry. Non-compliance breach of this is punishable by $350 for each day of the offense. If you work without a license, can be subject to a court appearance. We had a case in Salt Lake City, Utah recently. One PACA withdrew a client's license or a producer's license, and a research situation, and the Department of Justice had to follow up. So this business was charged with $350,000. The following day, the company went bankrupt because they were not able to cover this bail or this fine. If you have business with the United States, the company you deal with must have a PACA license. If you're not sure if that company has one, you can check the website or call and verify if the company has a PACA license or not. So PACA is an authority. PACA, since 2006, has been authorized to initiate disciplinary action and investigation, and obtains and fine different users or for breach of PACA regulations. And examples of unjust business.
Ejemplos de prácticas.
So unjust can be giving false declarations, to misguide individuals and employ illegal aliens to swindle or defraud. If PACA withdraws the license from a company, PACA will withdraw a license for employing individuals who are illegal immigrants. PACA is also empowered to withdraw a license from any company that deals with illegal situations. As important achievements during fiscal year 2000 to 2009, there have been more than 200 actions that have resulted in punishment of or fining of individuals for offenses to the PACA law. We've recovered more than $18,500,000 in agreements that have been returned to creditors. We've collected a total of $805,000 in fines paid directly to the United States Treasury. It's very hard to hear him. The audio is horrible. So this is the controversy disputes section. Up until now, PACA will provide advice for the fruit and vegetables industry. We help resolve disputes between parties. We are in charge of both informal and formal complaints at a minimum cost compared to current legal fees in the United States. The cost is $100 for an informal complaint and $500 for a formal complaint. Cases are dealt with in a less than 1 year period. Our formal response to complaints have resulted that we've dealt with 91% of our cases have been successful in 4 months. PACA has had excellent results with more than 1,000 formal complaints. It's obtained $17,000 as a result. With regards to informal complaints, PACA has hired 2 attorneys to hear formal cases presented at trials. When a complaint is presented, you can state formal complaints are presented for unjust rejection, non-compliance with payment, lack of payment, or operating without a license. The claimant has, or the person presenting the lawsuit has 9 months to present their complaint after the date that a payment is rejected. So there's a 9-month period. After 9 months, the civil court will deal with the complaint. But if there's an invoice that has fewer than 9 months, can use PACA's legal system, this legal resolution dispute system, to deal with that claim.
PACA's trust fund.
by law, fines need to be paid before declaring bankruptcy. And under PACA, these payments have priority over other complaints. Since 1995, the degree of participation has increased, and PACA will help you protect your rights. Some cases have been dealt by different courts and different jurisdictions across the United States. In addition, those who foreign entities which don't have a license are also protected under the PACA law. What are the assets that are protected under the PACA trust? Poor misuse of money or misuse of funds can also actions. It's impossible to understand him. I'm so sorry. His Spanish is horrible. He should speak English. We might switch into English because we're not understanding what he's saying. I'm going to read the slides at least. What are the main assets that are requirements for protection, for trust protection? There are two modes. One is to send a written notice to the debtor 30 days after the payment has expired. The payment terms that are 10 days or later must be presented in writing and not exceed 30 days. There are two methods of providing notice. Providing notice regarding the trust fund. A person can use an invoice if there isn't a license available.
Escrito independiente.
As we can see, any holder of a license has an option of including their invoice what we call magical language. If there isn't a license, notice should be sent. You can also call the 1-800 number or visit the Internet PACA website to obtain information regarding licenses. I refer to the magic language, so it's in English. He's reading it. So the seller of these commodities retains a trust claim over these commodities, all inventories of food or other products derived from these commodities, and any receivables or proceeds from the sale of these commodities until full payment is received.
Para más detalles, visite el sitio de página del Internet del Registro Federal o reglamentos.government.
If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call. Here This is the magic language that's translated. It's very important that this information remain in English. There hasn't been a court case presented in Spanish, obviously, where the magic language was presented in another language other than English. So if magic language is used in your invoice, it must be used in English.
Y aquí hay más información en referencia a la industria de frutas y vegetales.
More information regarding the fruit and vegetables industry. As the industry grows, PACA does too. On October 1st of last year, PACA licensees were renewed in 15 years, for the first time in 15 years, or the PACA licenses were increased, sorry. The latest regulation, the PACA, was published in 2010. Regulations were changed, which include the license rate increase to $995 per year, and it's very difficult to understand, so I'm just going to summarize what I do understand. This is the conclusion of my presentation. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask.
El teléfono aquí en Tucson es 1800.
And he's repeating the phone number. If we could help you in any way, do not hesitate to address questions to me. Please write to me with your questions, or you can feel free to ask them now. And I can consult with any technical specialist that you would need. Thank you, Patrick. Your presentation was informational. Thank you, audience, for meeting with us today. Let's start with the questions and answers. In the chat session, it's at the lower right-hand side. Patrick Romero will answer in the order that he receives the questions. I want to begin with a question that was answered during the conference, but which I want to emphasize. When a company states that they are not paid, what's the maximum time for the time that an invoice is not paid? Does a company have to make a claim, an informal claim with PACA? How much time? If you have any questions to ask Mr. Romero, go ahead and write it, and we will put it in the chat. So we need the questions in writing.
Y por favor escribir lo más claro posible, ¿verdad? La pregunta para que él pueda leer bien.
Y si va un abogado licenciado aquí en los Estados Unidos es...
In this United States, they charge from $200 to $300 per hour. Someone asked, they're in different countries out, so they are asking what number they need to dial, not an 800 number. They need a different number. They can't use a 1-800. You can call 520-879-4361. Great. So, Patrick, thank you. Verbal contracts, verbal sale contracts are legal contracts. Yes, they are legal as long as both parties agree on that contract, on that verbal contract. But keep in mind that if you file a complaint with PACA, the person sometimes forgets what the dispute was about, or what the verbal contract was, what was stated in the verbal contract. So that can be a risky thing to do. Maybe you have to write down something or send an email with the agreement to support your claim later on. Getting some questions here. Yeah, there are many questions. There's a question here. I'm a producer and I would like to know how much do I need to pay to register to PACA, or I think I understand this question, but the cost is $100, and the PACA law states that any farmer around the world can use PACA services and file a complaint. If there is a farmer in Mexico, Argentina, China, Brazil, wherever, they can use our services, the PACA services, and the cost would be $100. The law is very strict. If you have an informal claim and we cannot settle the claim informally and you need to file a formal claim, the claimant needs to pay the $500 and it has to put bail, which is twice as much as the amount of the complaint. If it's $500, then the claimant needs to pay bail for $1,000. I have another question. We are a company in the United States, and we are about to begin importing and distributing fruits. Do we need a PACA license? Yes. It is a federal law. You need a PACA license. Please write down the 1-800 number, and you can call any of our regional offices. This is the law. You need a PACA license. Another question. If the bond is twice the amount of the claim, what do I do with it? Well, in due time, we will provide information on company that places these bonds. These companies are found in our webpage. If you have any further questions in this regard, you can contact me and I can provide you additional information. Let's see. Another question. Is the PACA law apply to frozen fruits and vegetables? Yes, it does. If you sell frozen fruits and vegetables over 1,000, 2,000 pounds, do you need a PACA license? Yes. I said that PACA has 6 different offices in Arizona, Virginia, etc. And you need to contact the office where the defendant is located. If the complainant is in Los Angeles, then we will file the complaint in Tucson. And the respondent, the company that owes you money, if they're located in Florida, then you need to file the complaint in Texas office. If in New York, you need to use the Virginia office. I have a question here. We import products from Peru, Colombia, and other countries. Do we need a PACA license? So the answer would be no, right? Because I understand that only companies within the United States may get a PACA license, right? Yes, that is correct. You need to have a business within the United States. If you're an importer, where is the importer located? Is the importer in the United States or in Peru? If the exporter is in Peru, then he doesn't need a license. But if he is in the United States or has a business office in the United States, he needs a license. To file complaints for bad quality products, you need to contact the USDA inspection agency. Yes, when you receive a produce from a company inside the United States or from abroad, the only protection or the best protection you have is to request an FDA inspection to see the quality of the product. And if you want this inspection, you can call the good delivery line, and we will request a lot of information from you regarding the contract for the inspection, but we can tell you if we can give you valuable information. Can PACA help with problems with Canadian companies? No, we cannot do that. The law is different in Canada, in Mexico. But as I told you, if there are companies in Canada or Mexico, they can use the PACA services till a formal complaint is filed. If that happens, then you need to place a bond for twice as the amount of the complaint. And Canada is the only country that is exempt from doing this. There's a very important question here. If the invoice does not have the magical language, can you receive PACA protection? Well, you can file an informal or a formal complaint if the invoice has the magical language and then it has expired. You have to go to civil court, or you can file a complaint with us. There are two parts of the law, and you can use both parts of this law. Either you can do it through PACA or through the civil court in the U.S. Can you file a complaint for lack of payment by a third party? It's a company that produces invoices, and the buyer committed to paying the company directly. The factoring company represents another company. So this could be like an attorney, and in this case you can use the PACA services and file a complaint through PACA. Patrick, for a company outside of the United States, like Peru, for example, they need to, or can they benefit from the trust fund or not? Yes, they can, but they need to include the magical language in their invoice. If that happens, they have to follow a different procedure. I would recommend that they contact us so we can provide them with further information on how to do it. Because they need to fill out a form which we can send by fax. They need to provide a lot of information and send it to the company that owes the money and send a copy to us also. But they need to put all the information in English. One more question? Well, I have a question here. Are you going to distribute the presentation? Yes, of course. We're recording this presentation and we will be sending it to all the participants that registered for this conference. So you can have all the information available. I market fruits in Mexico, and I have a problem with a company who owes me $4,000. Can you help me? Yes, we can help. If you call the 1-800 line, you can file an informal complaint against this company. Any company from any country may use the PACA services. Producers, shippers, everybody. We receive many complaints from producers, from Mexican producers. We represent many Mexican producers that send their produce to U.S. companies. And they file a complaint through us, and as I told you, 91% of informal complaints have been resolved or settled in less than 4 months. If you have any questions regarding the PACA and how to file the complaint, please call me, and I will help you, or I can find somebody else to help you. What is the difference on the results that you obtain through a formal claim and an informal claim? Well, informal, when you file the claim, we notify the company in writing about the claim. If the claim is not settled informally, the complainant may file a formal claim. And that will go to the legal system in the U.S. If you have a company, for example, the company that was in operating in Salt Lake City, Utah, they filed a formal claim and PACA withdrew the license. And the company continued operating, but they couldn't do it. And so that went to the court and was processed through the USDA. If you don't pay, PACA will withdraw the license. There are many, many questions.
Aquí está otra pregunta. Sí que el bono es doble de la reclamación, pero ¿cómo hoy?
Well, I already answered this question regarding the bond, the amount of the bond. When do you prepare a formal or an informal report to PACA regarding a customer? Well, the law states that first you need to go through the informal claim process. And if the dispute is not settled, then we will send you a letter with information as to how to file the formal claim against the company that owes you money. We will be responsible for sending that information. And don't worry, if your question has not been answered, you may send an email to Mr. Romero and he will get back to you. Because we're running out of time. We have 5 more minutes. Do you serve only producers or any other interested parties? Can any person benefit from the PACA law, or is it only for producers? No, anybody can use the PACA services. I have a company that with whom I have a verbal agreement, and the company told me that they sold my onion at a very low price and that there's no money left for us. That happened 10 months ago, but I never sent him an invoice. Can I still file a complaint through PACA? If the 9 months begin when you send him the last load of produce. So if you had 10 loads, the 9 months will begin until the last load is sent. The last shipment is sent. Yeah, so you could file a claim through PACA. That's good to know. More questions? They're asking about the formal and informal complaint process. You already asked me this question, right? Yeah. The difference between a formal and an informal complaint.
Aquí es una pregunta, ¿por qué tengo que poner?
Why do I need to put bail or pay bail or a bond? Well, that is what the law states. When the law was enacted in 1930, in the 1930s, well, this is part of the law, and many companies cannot pay this bond. But the law states that you need to do that, and there's no way to get around that. How long does it take to get a PACA license? If, for example, if you are an exporter and outside of the United States and you need to file a formal or an informal complaint, well, what's the time frame for that? To file the claim? Well, that could take from 2 to 3 days. If we have all the required information, we can file the claim the same day or 3 days at the most. But it's very quickly, and then we give the company 2 weeks to submit all the information regarding the claim, and then we call the companies to see if we can settle the dispute over the phone, informally. And as I said, 91% of the disputes have been settled in less than 4 months, or 4 months at the tops. Okay, we have 3 more minutes. Patrick? I have a question here. What did you say? I didn't understand. Where can I apply? What's the procedure for applying for a license? Well, you can visit the webpage. Well, you can visit our webpage or you can contact us and we can provide you all the information you need. Every day, we receive about 10 phone calls as to how to file complaints through PACA, for example. And we give them the internet address. And they need to fill out a form, and if they cannot fill out the form, we would need some information in English as to what happened and how much money they owe you. And you can send copies of invoices, shipping manifests, anything related to the complaint. You send it to PACA, and then we'll file the complaint. There's a question here. I don't understand the procedure with the bond. I am a foreign exporter company. How do I present a formal complaint? We will provide you with information, and you need to call the company. There are several companies within the United States that will place the bond. Before filing a formal complaint for the courts in Washington, D.C., we need to have the bond. As soon as we receive the bond, we will file the complaint. We can provide all the information to the company or to individual who needs that information if he's interested. The process is very simple, but we can provide additional information to assist people with the process. It's better if you contact me directly so we can better assist you. You can find additional information in our webpage. One more question.
No me hace una pregunta, Olga, que es necesaria que...
Bueno, ahora los invitamos a proceder al almuerzo y les pediría que por
Well, now we invite you to lunch, and please be back at 2 p.m. sharp. They're requesting more time here. Okay, so please be back by 2:15.
Nomás en esa forma tienen que